made you, I understand you were under the influence, but what made you think that you could tell someone that you were a police officer and you weren't?
So, sir, help me understand, right? It's hard enough in the law enforcement community to be a cop nowadays, right? And then you go, you go act as a cop, you probably would have been better acting as a professional actor or something else, right? Or professional sports person.
Now to breaking news in Willimantic, where a man is under arrest accused of impersonating a police officer. And this is not the first time he's been in trouble for the same crime. NBC Connecticut's Jennifer Joyce is live in Willimantic with the details.
I'm not sure how acting as a professional actor or professional sports person could make a difference. Or actually, maybe if he was a better actor, he would have gotten away with it. But he's locked up for impersonating police officers not just once, but twice. Plus another slew of pretty violent crimes, which we'll get into the details in the unpacking. With that, let's jump in.
Of the parole application for Danny Vazquez, 423-203. He is serving a total effective sentence of 10 years jail. Execution suspended after 8 years, followed by 5 years probation for receipt of illegal use of credit card, largely second, upper third, false report first, burglary third, impersonation of police officer. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of September 21st, 2024. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has reviewed and shows that the offender has completed voices, tier 2, mentorship, discipleship course, and CPAR Recovery Coach Academy. He is currently engaged in tier 4 and has maintained employment. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender evaluation system, both offender's overall score on the RT falls within the low range of risk for recidivism. Mr. Vazquez, this is your opportunity to discuss why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Is this a good time to read the letter that I've written?
Sure, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So good afternoon, panel. Thank you for granting me this opportunity. I acknowledge that this is a privilege and a blessing, not a right. I'm before you today due to my selfishness. I'd like to apologize to Ms. DeCiccio, Mr. LaValle for burglarizing your home, to Ms. Andrews for deceiving you into thinking I was a police officer, to Ms. Brown, I'm sorry that I robbed you and I put you through such a scary situation. On December 3rd, 2017, I went out looking for anyone to rob, and I hoped that whoever I selected on that night was armed and would take my life. Today, I want to live and not die. My addiction had brought me to my bitter ends. I am embarrassed, disgusted, and saddened by my actions. I understand that you have all worked hard to have the things you have, as my parents did, and as my parents taught and raised me to do. I was not taught to steal, rob, or lie, and my father has reminded me of this weekly for the past 6.5 years. I also realized that I didn't only steal property, I also stole your peace of mind and the feeling of being safe in your homes. I have a hard time forgiving myself, but I ask that you find it in your hearts to please forgive me. I hope that my sentence was justice for all of you. I was stipulated to pay restitution to you, and I intend on paying you every penny that I owe. I want to apologize for the pain I've caused my family, to my son, my father, and my sister who spent countless nights wondering if they'd get the call that I had overdosed. I was blinded by my addiction as well as in denial. I didn't know who to turn to or how to even admit that I had a serious addiction. Once incarcerated, I struggled. I was finally clear-minded, but I did still struggle and realize the poor choices I had made. I continued to make poor decisions while incarcerated, which led to consequences. I needed help, so I enrolled in Tier 2 Living in Balance, where I learned coping skills, what my triggers were, and techniques to distract me from triggers. I learned what addiction really was. I learned about resources I could turn to during crisis. I completed Voices, where I learned how my crimes affected not just the victims, but their families and the communities they reside in. While incarcerated, I've maintained employment, and I've held numerous jobs, including privileged jobs that not every inmate has access to. I've been a librarian, I've worked in the kitchen, I've worked in laundry, I've been a janitor, I've been a peer mentor, and a clerk at the facility's addiction service office. I enrolled voluntarily into Tier 4 in October of 2023, and I am currently in Phase 3 learning about criminal and addictive thinking. I'm an elder in the program with a caseload of 9 men that come to me for help. My caseload consists of mostly non-English speaking men that I help with my bilingual skills. As the addiction services clerk, I am responsible for assisting 10 substance abuse counselors and counselor supervisor Rogers, a role that requires trust. I assist with data entry, photocopying monthly AA and NA reports, and translating for all addiction service intakes and interviews as needed. I am a certified recovery coach, and on March 21st, I interviewed to enroll in the required courses to become a recovery coach professional, which I was granted. I chair Spanish, AA, and NA meetings, as well as attend 16 to 20 meetings per month since January of 2023. I was a mentor at Carl Robinson's outpatient unit, which houses men in the MAT program, TOP, DUI, and aftercare programs. I mentored approximately 60 men in that unit. I help these individuals with resources, program information, and expectations. I offered guidance and helped them adjust. I have gained so much knowledge about addiction and co-occurring disorders. I will continue to attend NA meetings in the community. I will do 12-step work with my sponsor, Alexander Calkins, and I also have a recovery coach, Zaraya Pedraza from CCAR, where I plan on volunteering when released. I plan on attending relapse prevention groups as well as individual therapy. I have a social network of people I can call when I struggle. This network consists of friends, family, therapists, clergy, and a TCM worker from SCAD. Many who have written letters of support and recommendation. I have experience prior to my incarceration as a chef, a security officer, and an administrative assistant. I plan on accepting any offer of employment and using it as a stepping stone while finding a career. My bilingual capabilities open many doors that I intend on taking advantage of. I also have an amazing 13, soon to be 14-year-old son who is my everything. I have been blessed to have maintained a strong bond and relationship with him thanks to his mother. I've been given a second chance by him and his mother to be the father I once was. Cadence needs me out of prison as he is experiencing changes like puberty and peer pressures that require a father to guide him and support him through. I want Cadence to have my positive traits and be a better person than I was. I have always believed in God, but until now, never knew him or had the relationship with him that I have now. I recently completed a 21-week discipleship course through Golden State Bible Institute of Terryville, Connecticut, and will begin working on my associates in theology. I would like to go to a halfway house because I feel the structure will help me while I adapt and reintegrate. PCM has already sent a referral to a sober house, so when I leave the halfway house, I can continue my sobriety. I am sorry again for my bad choices. I am not the same person today that I was then. Today, I practice integrity, honesty, and hold myself accountable for my actions. I know that recovery must be my foundation, and without recovery, I will have no life or hope. I respectfully ask for a chance to do things right, and the opportunity to show you the change. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, sir, for putting that together. You covered a lot. We as a board have some questions that we'd like to ask you, and then at the conclusion of those questions, we'll discuss your case and get back to you with our decision, okay?
Yes, sir.
So I got to turn it over to my colleague, panel member Paige.
Thank you, Sir Chair. Mr. Vazquez, that was an excellent letter. How long did it take you to write that statement?
I worked on it for about 3 weeks, rewriting it over and over.
Well, you did a good job. You covered a tremendous amount of ground.
Thank you,
I heard your relapse prevention plan. I heard your release plan. I heard you talk about the support you have in the community. I heard you express remorse for your actions and the impact that it has on the victims, your family, and the community as a whole. I heard all of those things. And I appreciate the work that you're doing inside the facility to help other people who struggle with addiction, gain some tools to be successful once they're released out into the community. That's no easy feat. It's probably a little easier to stay clean and sober in the facility than it is out in the community, but I appreciate you're trying to prevent them from relapsing under us. And congratulations on your own sobriety.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
you're welcome. I really don't have any questions in terms of what you learned, where you're going to look at, who you have for support, because you answered all that. I'm more curious, these questions are, about your actual conviction. So
Okay.
what made you, I understand you were under the influence, but what made you think that you could tell someone that you were a police officer and you weren't?
And again, due to my addiction, I thought that I could scare and intimidate that person into providing me with the drugs that I was seeking, which was prescription medications. And there's no real explanation, except that when I took a specific drug, which was the Xanax, the alprazolam, I would really black out and do things. And then when I would come to, I would be like, oh my God, what did I do?
Wow. I was so surprised. I'm like, this was, I've been here for a few years now, and this was my first time really seeing someone receive a conviction for impersonating a police officer. So
It's very embarrassing for me.
yeah, well, listen, I mean, aside from this, you had no criminal history prior to this, and so you were just on a rampage. And so it honestly probably took these, convictions to stop you,
Yeah.
and to help you get the help that you need.
Yeah, I lost my mom in 2011 to cancer, and instead of going to therapy and properly grieving and doing the things I should have done, I numbed out with drugs, which turned into a 6-year disaster. And today I'm very thankful that the people who called the police on me, because not only did they save my life, they probably saved a lot of things from happening in the community because I was out of control.
Yeah, you were. I mean, you're still very young, Mr. Vazquez, but you were absolutely a menace to society, I'd say.
I agree with you.
And I'm happy to see you take this opportunity to really try to turn your life around, because unfortunately, the drugs that you've chosen and that you become addicted to, it's not easy to overcome. So I really do hope that you continue working on your sobriety. I heard you talk about being in a sober house. Most of the time, the sober houses are reserved for those people who are in active addiction. And it sounds like you've been clean for how long now?
I did have an incident while incarcerated in 2021. So I just celebrated 37 months of sobriety.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That you celebrate many, many more. And honestly, you could have continued to indulge in substance use after the 21st, but after 2021, but you chose to get in the programs and really give it your all. And that shows character, And unfortunately, I don't really know too many people who struggle with things and they don't have relapse, but it really does matter what you do after. If you decide to stay on your bench and go out and create more victims and commit more crimes, that's, you haven't learned yet. Like you haven't hit rock bottom yet. But if you do what you did, you use and I hope that you don't. But seek the help that you need to get back on track. That's admirable. I appreciate that.
I did hit my rock bottom, and when you hit rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. And I chose to go up in a positive manner instead of a negative manner.
Well, I appreciate that. I will support your request today for discretionary parole. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, sir, help me understand, right? It's hard enough in the law enforcement community to be a cop nowadays, right? And then you go, you go act as a cop, you probably would have been better acting as a professional actor or something else, right? Or professional sports person. But let me get to the one question I have, because it looked like you already seem to have some support, professional support in place to your issue of addiction prior to these events. Would that be accurate?
That would be accurate. They were in place but I was in active addiction, so I had a prescription for the medication I was abusing. And so I would go to treatment, but I wouldn't go every time I was supposed to go. And I wasn't being honest with my therapist, and I was being deceptive. And, you know,
Yeah,
today I don't.
So we're like live streaming, so we don't get into people's health issues or any type of medications, just to let you know, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But you've taken a lot of programming, right? And you talked about it, right? So it's been helpful.
It's been absolutely helpful. It's really helped me turn around.
Okay. Well, I don't have any follow-up questions. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, panel member Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Vazquez, I don't have any questions. I just want to say, it's a wonderful statement you wrote out. It really answered a lot of our questions and gave us a lot of information about you and the kind of changes that you really moved to make in your life. We're hoping that you continue that when you are released, that you continue that motivation and that kind of work that you're doing to help others, to give back, and to take care of yourself, because that's really, really important, is to take care of yourself.
I agree with you, sir.
So thank you for the work that you put into that, and the best of luck to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, give us a few moments. We're going to discuss your case. So we'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Sir Chair, as I stated to Mr. Vazquez already, I will support his request for discretionary parole. I think he's done work. I pray that he continues to do the work.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. What say you?
I'm on the same page as well.
And,
My colleague says, I hope he continues to work.
and what do you have? Halfway house, victim JB?
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. What do you have? 921?
Yes.
Okay. So in the case of Danny Vazquez, inmate number 423203, there's a motion to grant parole on or after September 21 of this year, 2024, with the following: halfway house and no contact with victim JB.
Yep.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Further discussion, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Vazquez, congratulations. You'll be getting all this information within the next couple of weeks, okay?
Thank you, guys.
Good
Thank you
luck.
so much. Thank you.
Kind of breaking news in Willimantic, where a man is under arrest accused of impersonating a police officer. And this is not the first time he's been in trouble for the same crime. NBC Connecticut's Jennifer Joyce is live in Willimantic with the details. Jen?
Well, obviously, police here in Willimantic take things like this very seriously when someone is accused of showing up to an incident and pretending.
And I'm sorry that we could not finish that newsreel. It just cuts out every single time. It's not the first time I've seen this bug with these news stations, and they wonder why they're failing. It's like they're stuck back with the 20-year-old tech. Anyways, twice impersonating a police officer. And it's interesting with this hearing. I tried the first few times I listened to it multiple times. I didn't feel good about him. And I tried looking at it from the perspective of the board and thinking, you know what, maybe he really just had a serious drug problem. His impersonating of a police officer, it always scares me, especially he was also a security guard. There's just something about it that scares me. But what he was trying to do with it did seem oriented towards getting drugs and not other nefarious things. So he approached someone outside where he thought it was like a drug house, and he was dressed in a suit, and he had headphones in his ears, and he had handcuffs, and he said that he was part of the ATF and that he was investigating, narcotics. And so it was, from that perspective, maybe it's less scary. It's not like he's pulling over young women on the side of the road, right? It seems that this is more oriented towards getting drugs, but he has other crimes that were quite vicious. And then also part of his opening statement, for one example, he stated in his opening statement, which you could tell he did invest a decent amount of time in preparing, but he said that he went out that night to rob someone hoping that he would get killed. And one is I don't believe it, but even if it's true, like the idea that you would include that in your statement. I mean, first of all, you really in Connecticut, you want to pick. I'm sure you could have picked a neighborhood and a home that you could have robbed and made sure that you would have gotten shot. But the things that he did, he attacked an elderly woman. She went, took money out of an ATM. He followed her home, went into her house, attacked her, stole her cash. And the only reason that he was caught is that a neighbor saw it and got his license plate number. So to turn that into, I attacked someone, wanted to get shot and end my life, it's just, with the information I have, it just seems so. I just have a hard time trusting him and liking what he said. It just seems just super sketch. But let's go over it. It's like the information is power. When you have information and then you can listen to what the words that people tell you, and it just their words all of a sudden have a different meaning, at least to me. And where are we? I have to mess around with the brown. Like I think it's go blah blah blah. Okay. I can never get it to just fit the way it's supposed to fit. Whatever. We'll keep it like this. So he's facing multiple charges, including assault and robbery, after witnesses saw him rob an elderly woman Sunday evening. According to the Connecticut State Police, the victim, a woman, used an ATM around 6 p.m. Sunday evening. After finishing her transaction, the victim traveled to her home. Upon arriving at her home, she was approached by a man, later identified as Danny. Troopers say that he pointed an object that the victim believed to be a gun. To his credit, it wasn't a gun, but that's I guess neither here nor there. Then he demanded money from the victim, grabbed her purse off her shoulder, and I guess for good measure, pushed her to the ground. Because just having her purse isn't enough. So, a witness saw what happened and rushed to the victim's aid. Vazquez then ran to a black car and fled the scene. The witness was able to get the license plate. I love hearing about Good Samaritans doing this stuff. Nothing is more satisfying. Well, very few things are more satisfying. The description of the car was given to the police in surrounding areas. A short time later, the car matched the description. The witness was found. Yeah. Now they plus he had the 2 cases for impersonating a police officer, and this wasn't the only robbery he had. He had a lot of others, and I guess really it is how he framed it. It's how he framed it. And I feel like Louisiana would have caught him on this. I feel like if Mr. O'Shea, Mr. Marabella, Miss Jackson would have been like, they would have more held him to the fire. They'll just write a speech and try to make yourself seem like the victim. I just wanted my life. I was hoping that I would get really. So that's why you robbed an older woman in her home and assaulted her because yeah. But outside of that, I just they did give him a 10-year sentence. He served a lot of it. I think the sentencing is fair that they gave him, and the man he served. He has done well in prison. He stayed sober. He's been working. He's got the this, the that. Hope we don't see him again. Love to hear your thoughts. Thank you, Carol, for sharing information. And thank you, Richard. And with that, I'll let you go.